Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Monday evening to you all. I hope you guys are doing awesome out there tonight. Had yourselves a wonderful day, and I hope everyone's been having a great beginning to their week out there so far. We got a few things to talk about in tonight's video, and kind of thought about not even making a video, but I thought, hey, we're gonna get some pretty nasty weather that develops over the next several hours, and I do have time to just squeeze in some updated information ahead of this line of storms that will develop over the next few to several hours across areas of the southern plains. So I just want to give you some updated information on that right out the dot. We'll speak on the severe weather for Tuesday also. Not going to speak a whole lot on Wednesday. I just want to see, continue to watch for model guides to kind of come together for Wednesday. Wednesday's a weird day where some areas might get some storms earlier in the day. Will the atmosphere become unstable again later in the afternoon, allowing for the initiation of more storms? There's still a lot of questions for Wednesday, so we're going to really focus in on tonight into tomorrow night. And we'll break down the blizzard side of this storm system, which will get going over the next really 12 hours or so and last all the way into tomorrow night, all the way into Wednesday morning. So we'll include everything in this. Timestamps will be up. We'll break down all the latest information. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If anybody has anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. Let's get rocking and rolling. So this is the storm system right now. It looks very scattered. There's nothing concrete out there, if you will. Nothing overly impressive one way or the other. It looks like we have some moisture skirting across areas of the plains. We got some heavy snow beginning to develop across areas of the Rockies. You can see the little bit of a spin here on radar based off moisture. We do have some moisture cruising into Montana, but overall, the storm system itself is just now starting to come together. I think we're going to have a nasty line of storms that do develop here in Oklahoma, areas of southern Kansas, northern Texas. I mean, they will basically explode out of nowhere, it's going to seem like, on radar. Nothing going on at this second. I think this will happen well after the sun sets tonight in these areas, but this is what's going on right now. As far as the latest from the Storm Prediction Center, we do have an enhanced risk now, and this is for what happens tonight, not really what's happening right at this second, right at the time I'm making this video, which by the way is around 6:15 Eastern time. It's 5:15 local time in the central US, but an enhanced risk is now up for Oklahoma City, almost all the way down to, just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So we'll kind of zoom into this area right here. Denton, Graham, up to Oklahoma City. I can't talk this evening. Ardmore, Duncan, Lawton, Wichita Falls. You guys have an enhanced risk. What's driving this tornado threat? There's a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles of any given location in this yellow area. If we broaden this a little bit, this brown area, slow it down. This brown area is a 5% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. We'll make it a little bit more wider. And then this green area is a 2% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location. Now we look at the winds. In that enhanced risk area, there is a 30% chance. So in this red area, 30% chance of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. Now, looking at the hail threat, there is a risk of hail. If you live in this yellow area, that's where we have a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. So, tornado risk has increased for tonight, and the wind threat has increased for tonight. So let's take a look at what the radar could look like. So we're going to start this off around 7 p.m. Central Time. I know it says 8, but this is an Eastern Time, so this is 7 p.m. As you can tell, not a whole lot going on over the next couple hours. We get into 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m., boom. You see these storms that basically explode out of nowhere just east of Dodge City and Woodard. Woodard might not get a drop of rain, for example, but they get going, and they pop off quick as a surface low begins to develop here in the southern high plains. And then we get into 11 p.m. This is midnight. This line of storms will have a threat of tornadoes right out the dot, as the kinematics and the thermodynamics, your surface moisture and your wind energy in the atmosphere, kind of combined, and then you get overlapping conditions that support all hazards, honestly. And we get into 1 a.m., 2 a.m., Oklahoma City. These storms are rumbling through Wichita Falls. These storms are starting to move through. We continue into 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Tulsa starting to get rocked with these storms, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then we start to get into tomorrow's severe weather threat. But check this out. We could have snow falling in Guymon, Oklahoma, for example, with a line of storms still making its way through eastern Oklahoma. Western Oklahoma, maybe some snow falling. Eastern Oklahoma, a damaging line of storms potentially moving through. So this is around 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, and these storms are knocking on the doorstep of western Arkansas, the Arklatex, and starting to sneak into areas of northwestern Louisiana. But this is just the timeline. I mean, check it out. Storms, boom, pop up out of nowhere around 10 p.m. This is 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. So, I mean, they kind of take their time rumbling through the state of Oklahoma, southern areas of Kansas, and then northern areas of Texas. Now, if we take a look, say, at the significant tornado parameter, so it really begins to spike right around 7 p.m. or so. But we're not getting any storms firing up yet. And then it spikes to, I mean, the parameters begin to spike. So basically, in these areas in white and pink, this is where the ingredients for tornadoes are beginning to really, really climb. Now, just because you have the ingredients for tornadoes in the atmosphere, do you have enough lift to get these storms going? I think there will be, but there'll be, I think, could be some sort of capping mechanism at first. Now, when the cap breaks, which is a little bit of warm air aloft, the storms will explode and then eat up all the ingredients that support tornadoes in the atmosphere. So that's why, you get these bright, vibrant colors right here in the pink and white. Storms form, kind of zap up all the energy in the atmosphere. And then all of a sudden, the atmosphere begins to stabilize and the chances of severe weather drop once the storms go through. Now, significant tornado parameter is still pretty high in northern areas of Texas as we're starting to move into the overnight hours. So we got to watch these storms at the tail end of this line where we do have a risk of tornadoes. So the Dallas-Fort Worth area, significant tornado parameter begins to spike to 9s, 10s. So you're definitely going to have a risk just because you get these extremely vibrant colors over your house. I don't mean there's a 10 out of 10 chance of getting a tornado. It just means the higher the number that's on this parameter that you're seeing, the better the ingredients for tornadoes. Now, you look at the updraft velocity swath, and I mean, it looks, you can tell, this is basically telling us where there's a chance of rotating updrafts, and you can see that it's the highest north and south of the Red River down here in southern Oklahoma, even northern Texas. And of course, you got it here in central Oklahoma also. So where you're getting these kind of slashes of colors and greens, yellows, and reds, this is where this particular run of the HRRR model is saying where there's going to have the best chance of rotating thunderstorms. So please be aware of this tonight in Oklahoma. We're going to have a risk of damaging winds too. If we look at the predicted wind speeds basically off this run between now and this takes us all the way through about Tuesday morning, 40, 50 mile per hour wind gusts through these areas, very strong wind gusts. And it continues to pick up on this line of storms here in northern areas of Texas, goes right through the Dallas-Fort Worth area of damaging winds like 60, 70 miles per hour. So it's going to be interesting if this actually verifies down here in northern Texas. But strong winds in the entire risk area for severe weather. Now, as we're getting into tomorrow, there's going to be a risk of severe weather also. This has always been the big day. Tomorrow, Tuesday, we got an enhanced risk stretching from the Arklatex, southeast Oklahoma, northeast areas of Texas, all of southern Arkansas, and basically the entire northern section of Louisiana, all the way down to Baton Rouge, and central and southern Mississippi, southwestern Alabama, and the extreme western tip of the panhandle of Florida has an enhanced risk. And here's just a close look at it. Little Rock here included, down to Jackson, down to Hattiesburg, Meridian, Mobile, Pensacola, Baton Rouge, Shreveport, so Tyler. And then you got the slight risk around this. So level 2 out of 5 risk of severe weather. And this includes Memphis, over to Birmingham, Montgomery, Panama City, New Orleans, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, all the way up to Fort Smith and Fayetteville. So the tornado threat in the yellow area, that's where you have a 10% risk of a tornado within 25 miles in a given location for tomorrow morning into Wednesday morning. And then that black outlined area, that's where you have a 10% risk of also a strong tornado. So it's not a 10 plus 10 equals 20 type deal. This entire yellow area has a 10% risk of a tornado, but if you live in this area, you got a 10% risk of one of those tornadoes being a strong tornado, an EF2 or higher. Then the wind threats, the red area, 30% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. The yellow area is a 15% risk, and the black outline region here, that's where you have a 10% risk of winds exceeding like 65 to 70 miles per hour, maybe upwards to like 75 miles per hour, which is like Category 1 hurricane force winds. So the chances are there for significant winds, guys. So this is a big severe weather event tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't verify as high end as it can. But the hail threat's there, but it's not that high. But if we're looking at what the latest long range HRRR model shows, this is starting off tomorrow morning. Here's the storms coming out of Oklahoma. We start to take it until about 8 a.m. Look at how stormy it is down here. You know, Mary, be careful if you're tuning in down here in northeast Texas, the Arklatex area, Texarkana, southwest areas of Arkansas. These storms finally fully make it into western Arkansas around 9, 10 a.m. They're starting to finally move out of eastern Texas, but we're still getting storms capable of producing all hazards. But you see these little kidney bean looks right here? Like if you look really closely, you see how these storms down here are kind of hooking like that? And then you see just how messy the storms are. Everything's kind of clustered together. It's going to be a very messy storm mode, I think, where, you know, the sun will be up obviously 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning in these areas, but you're going to have a hard time seeing anything. So if you get under a tornado warning and you can't see it, that doesn't mean it ain't there. Just remember that. But we start to get to about lunchtime, 11 a.m. lunchtime, storms, heavy rain, if not storms, begin to move across Arkansas, strong winds. Same thing up here in Springfield and, you know, Lebanon, the Ozarks of Missouri and Arkansas. These storms down here in northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas will have that potential to produce tornadoes, okay, especially the further south you get. And then by the time we start to get into about 2, 3, 4 o'clock, these storms are moving over the Mississippi Delta. And like I said, you see how these are kind of hooking like this? We got to watch these. This is where you'll have the opportunity for some of these to produce a tornado, especially if any can get even just somewhat detached from the main cluster of storms. And this continues, and then we kind of switch it to this here and look at the rest of the deep south, and this could develop into just a nasty kind of multi-cluster line of storms and sweep through western Tennessee, through the rest of Mississippi. By the time we're into like 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, these storms are knocking on the doorstep of the Alabama border. Look at the storms down here in southeastern Louisiana around 5, 6 o'clock. And by the time we're fully into late tomorrow evening, these storms are blasting through Nashville, getting into the Cumberland Plateau, Huntsville, Florence, Birmingham, Montgomery, Tuscaloosa. These storms are moving through, and it's not just going to be damaging winds through this area, guys. These will have a risk of producing a quick spin up, especially the further south you get, the better thermodynamics it has for this to work with. And, you know, this is like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. And, you know, not tomorrow morning, 1 or 2 o'clock Wednesday morning. These storms could wake you up in Atlanta, for example, down to Columbus, down here to Auburn. And then this continues, and we'll have to see what happens for the southeast. But if we take a look at, say, the updraft Felicity swath through this entire area for tomorrow into tomorrow night, you know, there's not anything super alarming when you look at this. You know, you're just seeing a couple little slashes of where we could have some rotating storms here and there, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get tornadoes through this area. So just remember that. But anyways, talking about the blizzard side to this. If you live in these red counties, those are blizzard warnings, guys. This purple color, that's winter weather advisories. This teal color, still winter storm watches. But winter storm warnings stretch all the way from, blizzard warning stretches all the way from south of Denver, all the way into areas in Nebraska. And then we have this little cluster of blizzard warnings here in Omaha, down to Nebraska City, down to Maryville, Missouri. So we got blizzard warnings right here where Nebraska, Iowa, kind of Kansas into Missouri sort of connect here. And winter storm watches extend, all the way down to Manhattan, Kansas. So winter storm warnings up for several counties in southern South Dakota. And then we just have winter storm watches. And I think this will change over the next 12 hours, probably next 6 or 7, 8 hours. But Des Moines still winter storm watches. Rochester winter storm watches. They extend just south of the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Eau Claire winter storm watches. Marquette winter storm watches. All the way up basically into the western UP of Michigan. And the jury is still out. I think we're definitely going to upgrade to winter storm warnings in these areas. But is anybody going to get blizzard warnings in these areas? I think you will. And just kind of taking a broad look at the storm. This is tomorrow morning. Heavy rain begins to switch to heavy snow in areas of eastern Colorado. And then we'll get this band of heavy snow about midday in kind of like central Nebraska up into areas of South Dakota. Where's this band going to set up? I think it's going to be very tough to figure out. And then we'll kind of get a transition. Another low kind of becomes dominant. And 981 low begins to crank up here. And I'm going to switch this to this right here. 980 low over northern Missouri. Any kind of rain begins to switch to heavy snow down into Omaha, Lincoln, down to Maryville. Missouri. Maybe switching to a brief period of heavy snow all the way down to Kansas City. Topeka. And then look how heavy it's snowing here in western Iowa. Heavy rain begins to switch to very heavy wind-driven snow in Des Moines. Look at this 979 low, guys. Look how the cold air is wrapping into the low pressure. So rain begins to switch to snow, even like in Columbia, Missouri. This is some pretty heavy snow trying to wrap down into Kansas City. I think you guys will at least get winter weather advisories. And then it even tries to switch to snow down here into St. Louis. But look at this snow up here all the way back to Minneapolis, the entire northern half of Wisconsin, just about all of the UP of Michigan. Well, Green Bay switched to heavy snow. 982 low, just cruising over in the northern half of Illinois. You're definitely going to get some strong winds with this. This is going to be a blizzard if you live in the blue. Will you get a long duration blizzard? Probably not. But this will wrap up finally and then head on out. But man, what a wild event. And these are winds between now and Thursday evening. Look at these winds, guys. And now we're kind of trying to focus on just the snow here. But the snow will be not a good color. Yeah, I like this color. The snow will probably be falling at least somewhat kind of into here. Right up into kind of here. And right through here. So snow will be kind of falling through this area right in here. So if some of these areas going for 50, 60, almost 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Look right here, just north of Kansas City, up into the Omaha area. That's why you have blizzard warnings right in here. So this is going to be a pretty wild event, guys. And I think that the blizzard has kind of taken some of the, newsworthy information from the severe weather side, in my opinion. But this is how much snow is predicted per the latest from the National Weather Service. Will work west to east. Denver itself, you're going to be surrounded by snow, especially to your south, but it doesn't look like it's going to be a big event for you guys. But Castle Rock, 6 to 8. Lyman, going for 8 to 12 inches. Colorado Springs, 2 to 3. Kind of a weird event. But Ray, 4 to 6. Jonesboro, 3 to 4. Burlington, 3 to 4 inches of snow. Showing a little love to Wyoming here. Laramie, 1 to 2 inches of snow. But it's really going to be just specific to the range here. And then taking a look at here, losing some gas here. Some steam and talking is what I mean. And northwestern Kansas, Goodland, 1 to 4 inches of snow. Some wide kind of varieties as far as storm totals here. There's just a lot of question marks in this area. Imperial, 2 to 4 inches of snow, and getting more so into Nebraska. Not a huge event. Some of these areas do have blizzard warnings, like 1 to 3 in North Platte. You're not going to get a ton of snow with this. This is just going to be some very even damaging winds in this area with just blowing snow. So, here's areas in Nebraska. This is getting up into areas of South Dakota, I believe. Yeah, Rapid City area. You got some weird kind of microclimate-driven areas where you'll get the higher terrain. And then we take a look at kind of central to south central Nebraska. You're kind of like a a weird area where you'll get that transition from the west to the east of where the axis of precipitation is going to be. So if you're a snow weather fan in this area, you're going to get kind of gypped, but you still could get a little accumulating snow in this area. It begins to increase once you get into Lincoln, 1 to 4 inches of snow. And then you get into Omaha, and this area could get some very strong winds. Omaha 2 to 5, Nebraska City 1 to 4, Falls City 1 to 4, Maryville, 1 to 3 inches of snow. Some of these areas have blizzard warnings, but you're probably not going to get a whole lot of snow in this area. That could change. Now, we head on down to Topeka, maybe 0 to 2 inches of snow. Kansas City, a trace to 2 inches. This area could do something weird. It could. Springfield could even get some wraparound snow all the way down to Joplin, Springfield. I really think that's possible. And then we look at Iowa. I think these totals will increase for Iowa. Going from 1 to 4 in Des Moines, Carroll 3 to 6, Dodge City 3 to 6, Mason City 3 to 6. I think some of these totals will bump up by the time we do this again tomorrow morning. And then we look at the Twin Cities areas, points south. Rochester 4 to 8, Twin Cities, Minneapolis 2 to 6. We get northwest, it drops a lot. Hutchinson could get 1 inch, could get 5. And in Eau Claire, 4 to 6 inches of snow. And Duluth, 2 to 6. Ashland, 7 to 12. This could be a big snow for areas of northern Wisconsin into the western UP. Not a big event for northeast Minnesota, but this could change depending on the position of the low. Duluth, 2 to 6. And then we look at the rest of northern Wisconsin. Winchester, 5 to 10. Green Bay, it might be mainly rain, but man, it starts to go up a lot once you get north and northwest of Green Bay. And then we'll end it off with the UP. This is between now and 1 a.m. Thursday. Marquette, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Yeah, so guys, this could be wind-driven snow. This could be a high-impact snowstorm up here. It's definitely different than just lake effect snow for sure. So that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you again in the morning.